Welcome to Scoop du Jour, Jonathan Stewart. I am so pumped to have you. We've got a 12-year NFL vet with us, Pro Bowler, played in a Super Bowl, and now you've got a lot of things going for you that I want to talk about. Entrepreneur, podcast host, of course, your dad. So many wonderful things. But first, thank you for being here. I'm excited to get to talking with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Shout out to my wife for letting me do this at 7:30. This is a pivotal hour in our night where we do bedtime. So I just put the little one down, and we're tag teaming this thing tonight.
That's a good team, right?
Yeah.
Like it means you've got it going on. So like, is nighttime kind of the craziest time, or is it calm? Like, is it?
No, it's calm. We have a good system and a routine. She does good with getting them calmed down and ready for bed, and the whole nine. I mean, I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Okay, so that's fun ages.
Yeah, they're fun and they're easy. I got 2 girls, so I feel like girls just figure out life quicker.
Yeah,
so
is that
it? Yeah, I'm blessed to have 2 girls. So
did you? Cool. So yeah, being a girl dad, I mean, that's fun. Let's start there. Did you grow up with siblings, with sisters?
No, I did not. I grew up with an older brother, 4 years older than me. My mom was a single mom for the most part. My parents got divorced when I was going into the 4th grade. And so it was just really, my big brother, being a big brother.
Yeah.
But childhood was good. Wouldn't go back and change anything.
And now you get to watch, 2 little girls together. I mean, and that's such a unique bond. I have just one brother, but I always, watch my mom with her sisters and friends with her sisters. Like that's just got to be so fun. And just to be like a girl dad, right? Like, tell me about that.
It's very special. You can tell like the moments where when we get older as parents and they get older as our kids, there's moments where I'm like, man, my girls are going to take care of me when I get old because they're just, when they get cuddly, especially our 2-year-old, she's got the cuddle gene. And so it's really nice getting the cuddles from her because it's like a sense of approval that you're loved by her. So, and then obviously our 5-year-old, she's the same way, just the sweetest, kindest heart, gets it from her mom and just, I mean, we're just blessed. There's no complaints in the department of our family.
How did you and your wife meet?
Well, we met in Charlotte. She went to Wofford College. She's actually from California, moved out here, went to college out in Wofford, and we met through some mutual friends. And we reconnected down the road, and time was right, and tied the knot. Not looking back.
And you're still in Charlotte.
Yeah, we're in Charlotte. Every time you go somewhere, especially when I played, when I go somewhere to train or go somewhere in the off season, there's always this sense of, man, I can't wait to get back home. And home wasn't, Washington. It wasn't a sense of, oh, I need to go back to Washington. It was, I need to get back to Charlotte. And that's a good feeling to know where, your heart's at, especially early on. I felt that way ever since I moved here my rookie year. And I feel like I hit the jackpot in the sense of getting drafted to Carolina. Not just simply because I got drafted, but I got drafted to a great city. Charlotte's on the map right now as far as, the top growing cities. A lot of people are moving here. Pandemic happened and everyone was looking at, where they should move to get land and where they should move for, the quality of life. Um, so I feel like I hit the jackpot.
That like it resonates so much with me because when you talk about like going to a place that feels like home, I always felt that way about North Carolina, having gone there for college and just always kind of wanting to get back there. Like there's just something about that state.
Yeah.
And I know Charlotte is a different part, right? Like it's different than the triangle and it's different than the mountains, but there's something about the state in general. And I like how you said like you felt really blessed when you were drafted there. Can you take me back to when you were drafted? Did you know it would be Carolina or
I
what
had no clue.
how did it happen?
Had no clue. When I got drafted, I had surgery on my toe. I got injured in college. Towards the end of the season, ended up getting surgery, and at that point, it was in God's hands, in the sense of my future. Going through the combine, meeting with like I think 19 teams. Carolina wasn't one of them, but I do recall visiting with Coach Skip, which was eventually ended up being my running back coach, because his son coached running backs at Washington State, and
Okay.
so we were able to talk mutually about his son, and he talked a little bit about being at Oregon and how he used to coach at Oregon, and he knew Gary Campbell, which was my running back coach at Oregon. So didn't think too much of it then, but looking back, there was they've kind of poked into the interest of me throughout the
Mhm.
process, like especially as far as me getting my surgery. Got my surgery in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Okay.
because Dr. Anderson is the best foot specialist in the nation, probably the world. And then, but he was also one of the team doctors for Carolina Panthers. So he had the inside scoop on my foot. He knew that eventually what kind of scared everybody away from drafting me. Um, he knew the inside scoop that I would be okay. So
Hmm. Okay, so he kind of like gave that insight to
the
the
Carolina Panthers, yeah. I mean,
ah,
I'm not really sure how that works,
yeah,
but um, looking back, that's you know the proof is in the pudding.
yeah. Right. No, I mean,
Yeah,
proof is in the pudding, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think I said some of your credentials before we or at the beginning, but let's see, at Carolina, you hold 7 records. Does that still stand? I think it does.
Uh, I don't really know how many records, but
Okay, I'll tell
I
you.
know.
How's that? I have some notes.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but um actually I don't have the notes of the records. I have all the notes, but I just have
I
7 records for Carolina, but I have your notes from Oregon, which you mentioned. So when you went to Oregon, backing up a little bit, you went there to do track and field and football or just track and field?
I went to Oregon to play football, and then I ended up doing indoor track, which was kind of Coach Jimmy Radcliffe, who is um, one of the pioneers for plyometric training. He was our strength and conditioning coach at Oregon, and I was kind of his guinea pig in a sense of strength and conditioning and all of the above. I did weightlifting competitions in the state of Oregon because of him, and I ran indoor track because of him. Um, and I'm grateful and very grateful for him in my life. Just really tuning my body into becoming what it was for me to get drafted and to be the elite player that I was for some time. At Oregon and at the professional level. Um, just understanding the mechanics, understanding your body. I learned that all from him. Um,
Very cool.
but I ran track, and I realized how elite everybody else was when it comes to speed. But I mean, I remember this one time I was racing this little guy. He had to be like 120 pounds, and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm about to smoke him. No way." He's from Washington State. I can't even remember his name right now. So long ago, but came out of the blocks. I'm like feeling real strong. At least 15 yards into the 60, he just smokes me. Like it was no joke. And um, so a lot of good perspective there.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was a good time in college.
For many of us who love college football but have kind of the perspective of growing up in the South and loving football in the South, can you give us some insight into what it's like to play college football, or just kind of the camaraderie, the pageantry of football in out west and in the Pac-12? I think that's kind of a unique experience, especially at a place like Oregon, where it is obviously still elite college football.
Yeah. I feel like going to Oregon, whenever we played a California school, it was almost kind of like that, like legitimate California love, because every time we went to like our fan base in Oregon traveled really well
Yeah.
up and down the coast, and so whenever we played Stanford, Arizona schools, all the California schools, we were really well represented. Um, but also a lot of guys that I played ball with were from California, and so being able to go to a game and be able to like meet all their families and stuff like that, it was real special. And now recruiting is in a different level now, where you're getting guys that are actually coming from way across the country to come to Oregon, especially with the new coach hire, the new head coach we got from Georgia. But it was definitely unique. Oregon, when I was there, very liberal school. Um, Not everybody was in your face, saying, "Oh, college athlete,"
Yeah.
and that was real nice. Actually, just because you're able to go on campus and just be, you know, just a regular student, and so that was real cool. And um, and then I mean, but really, it was a college town, just like any other town.
Did you always know, take us back to young Jonathan, little Jonathan. Did you always know you play football, at least in college, and hopefully like any little kid on the professional level, but did you always knew that this was a dream of yours and that it was one that you wanted to pursue professionally?
Um, I mean, as a kid, you're always dreaming of, when you're playing outside or playing, with, at in the youth programs and whatnot. You're always dreaming and having the expectation of one day, playing or scoring the game-winning touchdown or the game-winning Super Bowl catch or whatever it is. Um, so you definitely have, those moments, as a child. But when it became a reality for me was probably my junior year. I was getting a lot of recruiting letters, um, that I'm actually going to be able to go to college. I'm
Yeah.
not going to have to pay for it. And so at that moment, my mind really kind of got set on the preparation aspect. So, I mean, really from sophomore year on throughout the rest of my high school, you know, I was the guy that was going to the gym at night. I was the guy that was going to the hills, running the hills, during the summer. Um, speed and agility clinics, just started coming about when I was getting ready to come out for college. So started hitting those things. Yeah, and but really when I got to college, I remember Coach Campbell, my running back coach. He always wore these nice suits and decked out Steve Harvey suits, uh, with the fur coats. And I just remember after the game, me, my mom, and probably a couple of people from back home was just standing in a circle. I was like, "Dang, coach, you always looking fly. You always got your fur coat on. Look at you." He's like, "Yeah, one day you're gonna have a fur coat too." I was like, and I will always remember that moment, because I don't know if it was because I was just like naive or what, but or I just kind of, I think really and truly, I try to keep a level of consistency, never too high, never too low. And so even with my expectations, I have my expectations set, you know, of what I expect out of myself. But as far as it involving another person or a person making a decision, whether or not I'm good enough or whatever it is, I don't really have my expectations rattled from others. And so talking to him that moment, it was almost kind of like he validated me.
Yeah.
And so, um, and coming from my coach, it was one of the first times he actually said, one of these days, you're gonna be in the NFL too. And so, sure enough, here I am. Played 11 years and retired in North Carolina.
So, okay, so Carolina is where you spent the majority of your career. You mentioned the Super Bowl and you got to play in one with them. Um, didn't end the way you wanted it to, but
Hmm.
fans might remember that the lone touchdown for the Panthers came from the guy I'm talking to right now.
Yeah.
Is that your memory from the Super Bowl, or what are your memories from it? Because I'm always curious when I talk to anyone who's played in a game of that magnitude, if it's as magical and as just incredible as it seems from the fan perspective.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a special moment. I think one of the most memorable moments would definitely have to be me scoring the touchdown. I came in, I had just re-injured my foot, but
Oh,
I was thinking to myself, I'm not about to sit this out. If I can go, I'm
right.
gonna go. And so, the mind is it's a crazy thing when you really kind of check in, and put your mind and have your mind set on something. You can really do amazing things because my foot was technically broken,
Oh,
and I was able to go in there and jump over an offensive line and a defensive line to score a touchdown in a Super Bowl. So, that will always remain dear to my heart. It took a while for me to, you know, get the bitter feeling
sure.
out of my system, but at the end of the day, like, I started playing football in fourth grade, and I'm able to say that I'm one of the very few to score a Super Bowl touchdown, and just to be in the Super Bowl and be on a team of that magnitude that we had that year. It was a very special moment, special time.
I'm also curious because you played in a Pro Bowl, and that's something so cool and special too.
Well, I didn't get to play in the
Oh,
Pro
you didn't get to
Bowl
play.
because we went to the Super Bowl, and
Oh,
so yeah,
okay. So you're a Pro Bowler who didn't get to play.
yeah,
That's
which is a,
even more unique.
yeah,
So
which is very fine. Like, at the end of the day, you don't want to be the guy playing in the Super Bowl or in the Pro
right,
Bowl.
okay,
You
true.
want to be the guy playing in the Super Bowl.
I didn't put the timing together, but okay, so that was that year.
Yeah,
Makes so much sense. So I guess the best of both worlds is being voted but not getting to play.
yeah. Being able to be voted in is a special feeling. Yeah, for sure.
Wow, okay, that is so interesting. So but you still get to put that on your resume, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's always great to be able to say, you're a Pro Bowler. One of the better players of that year.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about, most of your career was with Carolina, but would you take me back to 2018 in February when you knew that Carolina was going to let you go? What went through your mind?
I mean, I kind of saw it coming. I mean, Christian McCaffrey
Mhm.
is an elite athlete. He's an elite player, elite person. Um, and when they drafted him, I knew he was special out the gate. And his rookie year, just being able to watch him progress, and really show people how to run routes. Like, I mean, this guy, a running back, is running the best routes I've ever seen out of any position to run routes. Um, and just his dedication to the game. It was definitely one of those moments where I was like, well, I'm definitely not getting any better. And I'm definitely not as elite as him right now. My time here is finished, and I'll be on my way. So going into that off season, I kind of knew it was coming, And but it was definitely bittersweet. All good things come to an end, and I think as an athlete, and especially at this level, you know that time's coming. You don't know how, but I do know that I was blessed to be able to spend the time that I did spend 10 years with the Carolina Panthers, which is a long time. And then getting an opportunity to go play 1 year with the New York Giants, which I was also reminded there that I'm old and it's time for me to go on about my business.
What
Um,
reminded you of that?
Saquon Barkley. So, I mean, but at the end of the day, I was privileged and honored to be able to play with two of the most elite running backs, probably of our time, if they keep on going the way they're going.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at the playoffs right now, I mean, ever since, Christian McCaffrey was on the Niners, got to the Niners, you can't tell me he's been the reason why they've been what they are. Saquon Barkley, you know, the fact that, he's been able to just, keep a level head through all the stuff and all the naysayers, through the ups and downs that he's gone through. It says a lot about his character and what he's, able to accomplish on the field, and, and just what he's going to be able to accomplish, you know, outside of football. I look at guys like that, that have a mentality of greatness. It just doesn't spiral from just wanting to play football. It spirals from within, and that's what makes those guys great.
Well, you mentioned that, or we talked about that moment of kind of knowing when things are going to come to a close, but can you fast forward and take us to being able to close your career out with the team you started it with and just being able to retire as a Panther? That says a lot about what the organization thinks about you, the fact that they wanted to do that for you.
Yeah, that was real cool. I had no expectations. I came back, to Charlotte after I left New York. Me and my wife and our daughter at the time, Kaya, was 2. And so it was really kind of like that first moment of, okay, here I go. I'm off into retirement. I don't know what to expect, but hopefully I'm prepared. But that gave me a great sense of closure, that a lot of guys don't get to get. And so being able to walk away knowing that, my efforts were appreciated, really means a lot.
Now that you are retired from the NFL, you've got a lot of things going on. Um, Talk to us about what some of those are, because I know you have magazines and investments and all of these things. Take us through some of them.
Yeah. So, through my playing career, especially towards the end, got really hands on with a lot of my real estate investments. My portfolio, understanding what's in my portfolio, just kind of getting prepared for retirement. Um, just knowing where your assets are, and just maintaining that, because at the end of the day, you become an asset manager. Um,
Yeah.
and so, at that level, you make all this money at once, and so you got to make sure you manage it to the best of your ability, and have the people that are around you to be able to help you enhance, what you have. And so, real estate investments, got into that. But then I actually then found an interest in real estate. So got my real estate license, and so I'm a commercial broker, if you want to say
Cool.
that. Got my commercial broker's license here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and working with I have my license with one of my business partners, Trey Morgan, with the Morgan Companies, here in Charlotte, and I'm also doing some things with the Panthers on the business end there. Being able to shadow some of the great businessmen and women within the organization, which is very helpful, and very appreciative of that. Um, and my wife has a magazine company, magazine uh, digital marketing company, Charlotte Lately. And we're co-owners, but she's the owner and the boss and the brains and all of it. And so I can't take any credit for that. at all. I took a couple pictures here and there, but she's fantastic with what she's doing in that world, and and I'm sure our girls are going to grow up and be able to see all the work she's put into her craft and whatever she sets out to do, which is important to us to see, to have them see her, do things that are special like that. And then what else we have? I'm a co-owner in the Coast Creative, which is another digital marketing company based out of San Diego. Me and one of my childhood friends, Tony Paglia, and his wife, they've done a tremendous job of, growing a business that we acquired from, um, you know, her once uh, upon a time job. And so now we acquired it. Um, and now they're just growing the business. And so it's been crucial during, uh, the pandemic, being able to help small businesses out, on that end and on that front to keep them afloat and keep them thriving. So it's been nice to be able to be a part of something that's helpful to others in the sense of, their livelihood. And it's the same thing with my wife's business, Charlotte Lately, recognizing women within Charlotte that might not get the recognition deserved, or that might have a story that needs to be told, to encourage or inspire others to keep pushing on and to keep thriving through any storm. That's really her mission, is women supporting women, um, and not faking it, because I know there's a lot of faking out there.
Well, that's
uh,
such an important message, like you said, for your girls.
yeah, exactly. And so that's her vision, and it's awesome to see come to fruition. Um, Trying to think what else. Oh, I'm doing the Believe podcast now, Carolina
That's
Panthers. Um, Never really thought of myself of a person that just sits there and talk about sports, talk
I
about
heard you say
football,
that on an episode.
and so, but here I am, and I've actually enjoyed, being a part of the group that we have, Desmond Johnson and Skylar Callahan. Those are two guys that have welcomed me into something they've already established, and it's been fun. Especially this year, there's been a lot to talk about. When
Yeah,
it comes to the Carolina Panthers, and still a lot to talk about.
right.
With the off season coming up, so I see myself doing stuff like this more often. I did radio broadcasting for a game this year for the Panthers,
Very
for
cool.
Panthers radio, and that was real fun. Did the Detroit Lions game where Deontay Foreman, um, and they ran all over the Lions that
Yeah.
game, and they broke our record, me and D'Angelo Williams' record for most rushing yards. So that was special to be a part of. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of cool things that kind of transpired um, throughout my retirement, and so seeing what sticks.
Yeah, keeping you busy. Well, I'll kind of put you on the spot. It's like an interview question, but like a lot of the things are related, but a lot of it's you've got your hand in a lot of different places. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you have like an ultimate goal of something you'd like to do that you haven't gotten to do yet, or just something you really are passionate about that you've been doing?
Yeah, I mean, really, my ultimate goal 5 years from now is to really have my hands, you know, deep into the real estate world, commercial real estate, and getting the business, mindset, through the people I'm around right now, and just learning so much on that end and on that front. I really see myself, thriving in the world that is ahead, especially in this space, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity, in the near future. And so it'd be fun to really, get those opportunities. And it's been really fun to network and meet all these, different interesting people, that have had different success stories. Um, so just really, commercial real estate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, back to football for a second. What was the most memorable game you played in?
The most memorable game that I played in,
College or pro or both?
I'd say the division championship, when we beat the Arizona Cardinals. Um, I think really the celebration after that game, um, will always stick out. We were at home with our fans, just being able to celebrate. I had some friends come in town from my childhood, and just being able to, see them as I was going around the stadium on the
Yeah.
field and seeing them, in the stands and being able to share a moment, taking pictures, acting crazy, whatever it is. Um, but that game was very special, because it's that moment of aha, we're going to the Super Bowl. Now, if we would have won the Super Bowl, there would have been more super moments. But
But you still have a ring from that.
well, yeah, from the division championship, yeah, and so that would always be a thing that I can pull out, tell a story about how we didn't win the Super Bowl. But
How we didn't win the Super Bowl. Okay,
yeah,
right. Um, it's still right. You have a good perspective about it. It was a
hmm
cool opportunity.
yeah,
And it does seem like you were talking about how um Saquon and Christian have these just amazing mentalities, but it seems like you have one that's similar. Is there something to which you can attribute that mentality, or like just kind of why you are the way that you are? If as deep of a question as that is, um, you know, how you kind of stay so level-headed, like you mentioned?
um, I don't know. I think really we sometimes go through life and there's just too much emphasis on, you know, oh, I got to win the next thing. I got to do the next thing. I got to do this and I got to be the best. And, we put so much pressure on ourselves. And, there's definitely got to be a balance, right? Got to have your expectations and your standard. Um, but you can't be too down on yourself. And part of that, for me is knowing where I'm, knowing, that first of all, I'm a child of God. So I'm not what I do. I am who I am. And I am who God says I am. And so, if I play football, I'm a Christian, I'm a child of God that just so happens to play football. Um, I'm a child of God and I'm a believer in Christ that so happens to be blessed to be a father, to be a husband, to be a friend. So, you know, all these expectations, you know, really revolves around one person, one idea, which is as long as I'm pleasing God, that's all I got to check in with, So, um, you know, trying to appease everyone will just drive you crazy. Uh, and so I don't know, just stay steady.
No, it's great advice, which leads me to a question I ask everyone. Do you have a best piece of advice, a favorite piece of advice? Something
Yeah,
you received? Yeah, you do.
yeah, I do. Someone once told me that hmm, regret hurts more than discipline. And so when you don't feel like getting up in the morning, when you don't feel like getting a workout in, when you don't feel like doing your homework, when you don't feel like making your bed, like whatever it is, um, you're gonna regret it later at some point. I mean, it's just as simple as, you know, should I fold the laundry now or should I do it later? If you don't do it now, later on you might be tired. I'm like, dang, I still gotta fold that laundry. So you got two choices. You do it now or you do it later.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Do the
Mhm.
girls know that yet, or they're a little too young for that one? Because that's really
My
good parenting
yeah,
advice.
my 5-year-old, I'd say, hey, do it now so you don't have to do it when later.
Oh,
And so, but yeah, and that's the thing, just taking advice from people, ask questions. I always ask questions, even if it's an answer that I might know. I
yeah.
just want to make sure I'm sure that I know. And so I ask a lot of questions, which, the stuff that I just said, I got from someone else. Um, I've listened to someone once say they had an experience with Mother Teresa, um, which is, when someone says that they had an experience with Mother Teresa, you just kind of shut everything out and you listen.
Right.
And so, and he asked he asked her like, "Hey, so what can I do to give back? Like, how can I give back on a level that you have given back?" And she said, "Do the thing that's right in front of you." So I was like, it's so simple. Like we try to make things so, um, you know, complex
Hmm.
when really the answer is usually right in front of you. So, um, yeah, I mean, there's all kind of advice that you can hear and take, but the main advice is application. So we strive to apply every day, and we're human, and remember that. So don't be so hard on
Those are
yourself.
really good. I ask
Yeah,
everyone about for advice, and I can't say I've gotten anything. I've never gotten the same piece from anyone doing this.
yeah, yeah,
And I learn something every time, so I love those too.
yeah.
Um,
Cool.
did is there a coach that really sticks with you that kind of changed your game, or you just like or really like meant something special to you?
All my coaches meant something
Yeah.
special to me. I can't really just dial in on one.
Sure.
Every single one of them meant something special to me. My very first football coach, Coach Brown, for the Lakeside Rams back in Lacey, Washington. Um, just how hard he was on me in the 6th grade. And so, um, just, stuff like that just resonates in the sense of like when someone's hard on you, it's because they care. It's not, you don't want to be the person that the coach isn't hard on. So,
Hmm.
um, and, um, my high school coaches, just having my back in every facet of getting me to football camps and workouts and just representing me well from the aspect of getting me to college. Um, Gary Campbell, my running back coach in Oregon, who just really instilled confidence in me. Uh, and then, I got going back to high school, Mark Rubidoux, who was my weightlifting coach, who taught me the meaning of humility.
Hmm.
Growing up in church, you hear the word humility and humble all the time, but going back to application, um, he said after a game, "Hey, go and thank your offensive lineman, even
Yes.
though even though they didn't do a really good job blocking, you still thank them." And he said, "Be humble." And I was like, "Oh, wow, this
That's what that
is,"
means. Yeah.
what I'm saying, just kind of lowering yourself and really giving praise uh, to God and the people that are around you that help enhance you in ways that you might not even really know. Um, and so, yeah, and then Coach Skip, my running back coach um, for the Carolina Panthers, he's taught me. I mean, it's kind of crazy how a coach can really give you so many life lessons. Um, I mean, spending 9, 10 years with a guy,
Hmm.
you walk away with something. Um, and every day was always a message through football that prepared you to life. Um, and just grateful for men like that in my life, and hopefully, given the opportunity, I'm someone like that in someone else's.
I like that. Okay,
Mhm.
let's get to some fun stuff.
Mhm.
Um, what is the best place you've played? The
The
coolest
best,
stadium?
the coolest stadium I've ever played in, I would say playing back home in Seattle. Um,
Nice.
Playing in, I played there a couple times, and every time I've gone back, they put this thing on the jumbotron of me being the all-time state
Cool.
rushing leader and all that. So it's always a lot of good love going back to play there. So that's the reason why it's always fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Did
Yeah.
you have like a pregame ritual? Like something you
Um,
always did?
Not technically a pregame ritual, but I always made sure that whatever I was listening to, um, it was mellow.
Hmm?
I'm big in music, um, and so, but I really like to listen to the genres that are mellow, lo-fi.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
What
those
kind of music do you
extremes.
like?
R&B, lo-fi. I listen to everything really. I mean, EDM, uh, country, rap, hip hop.
A little
Uh,
mix of it all.
yeah, a
But
little mix
pregame
of it
had to
all.
be like chill.
But pregame had to be chill. Um, didn't want to exert too much energy. Um, and I always just stuck my feet in something hot before every game.
Oh, interesting.
so,
Okay.
so a hot tub. If there wasn't a hot tub, give me all the heating packs to rest on my feet. Um,
Got to make sure they're warm and ready to go.
exactly.
What your days seem packed, but what do you and your wife like to do when it's just the two of you? Like to decompress or
Yeah, we like to go out to eat. Food is our thing. I think that's kind of how we connected in the beginning is through food. Um, there's something about breaking bread
mm-hmm.
with someone that you care about or that you have interest in, um, and just being able to level out through the comfort of
Yeah,
food and whatever you're going through in your day. Um, it's always nice to share a meal with someone you care about.
awesome. Do you guys have like a certain type of food, or you'll like go out and try places every time?
We go out and try a lot of different places, but I think our go-to is sushi.
Ah,
So if we can find some good sushi, which she is the one that put me onto sushi. I tried sushi before her, before we dated and got married and stuff, and I was doing it wrong.
she
I
put you
was,
on the good stuff. You were eating California rolls, and she was like,
yeah,
here's how you
I was
actually do it."
yeah, I was eating like
It's a good one.
eel, and she's like, "No, you don't want eel. You're probably allergic to eel." And I'm like, "I probably am allergic to eel. I spoke one time eating eel." Um, but yeah, she's fantastic when it comes to picking food. Whenever we go out to eat, she just knows what to order, and she orders away. It's
Oh,
not,
that's the best.
yeah.
Um, do you guys like to like what do you guys like to do with the girls?
Go on walks. You know, Kaya's riding her bike now. So it's
Fun.
always she always wants to go out and ride her bike. Um, and really just we really just relax. We
Yeah.
stay in the house and we play, hide and seek, tag, tickle monster, um,
Tickle
you
monster.
name you name it. And then we like to go out to eat with our oldest. Our youngest is getting to that stage where she's able to hang in
Yeah.
public. So um taking them out to eat as well. Just kind of sharing with them the same thing we share together.
Yeah. And do you golf?
Yes,
Is that
golf.
like your hobby?
Yeah, that's my thing.
Okay.
Like I like to golf. Um, we're building a house right now, and
Oh, that's a
once that,
big undertaking.
yeah, we're taking on a lot with that. My wife is.
Is it fun or is it stressful or is it both?
It's both. It's
Okay.
both. But it'll all be worth it once we're
Yeah.
in. We'll be in there soon. Um, but I make music. I
Yes.
produce.
Okay. Yes. Talk to me about that.
So I started producing music when I got drafted, when I got some money to buy some stuff.
Yeah.
and but I play the piano by ear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I played the piano since I was in fourth grade by ear, and I got into making beats. And then, you know, it's been actually 2 years since I've made a beat because all of our stuff is in storage.
You said
And
by
so,
ear, like you'll just hear something and you can play it.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And
Sometimes
then
it
you
won't.
make your own.
Some things won't sound exactly like the song per se, but
Close.
I can get the chords down and kind of play it my way.
So, did you have formal training?
No,
You just taught yourself.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
So,
And
what's
my
like the
and
goal
my
with producing?
I mean, we'll see one day. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of. I mean, I answered earlier. I see myself 5 years down the road dabbling into commercial real estate. Um, but I also see myself doing like radio or broadcasting,
Yeah.
the podcast stuff. Um, and I also see myself 5 years down the road, possibly, jamming out with someone. Like I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
I don't really think you should put yourself in a box, and
Totally.
um, so that's kind of the full answer of that is you don't put yourself in a box. Whatever you know is whatever you feel led to do. Um, if you have the means, the energy, the time to put in the work to do it, then go for it.
You're full of good advice. So much advice on this show.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, I feel like I would be remiss if I let you go without asking if you had a Super Bowl pick for this year.
Man. So
We're getting you ready for your broadcast.
so I'll tell you this. My heart is with Buffalo,
Okay.
but my bet is with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
And
Anyone from the other side?
my hope, my hope is that the San Francisco 49ers win.
Okay.
So
I think that's fair, all of that. You
yeah.
hit you didn't give us any like real
Yeah.
outliers there.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
so
yeah.
closes.
If you had a gun to my head, I'll just blurt out 49ers.
Very good chance, right?
Yeah, yeah. So go see Mac. You deserve this, and can't wait to see you do it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, I feel like we hit on so many cool things. It's been like really neat to get to know you and just learn so many things like that you're into and that you do. And I feel like if we do this podcast a year from now, you'll be doing 10 more different things, right? Like you
yeah,
said, you're not in a box. And I think that's just a cool message.
yeah,
Just to try different things and put yourself out there. So that's
yeah.
like kind of what I took away from this, which um, is a good message to anyone. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Jonathan Stewart without the T. So it's Jonathan Stewart one.
How did that
Number
happen?
one. Someone else took Jonathan Stewart.
Come on.
Yeah, man, it's jacked
Was
up.
it John
But
Stewart?
I don't even know, but it wasn't available, so I just moved past it real quick.
Okay.
But Jonathan Stewart won, and you can make sure you check us out on Spotify, um, you know, Apple Podcasts for Believe in Panthers.
Yes.
So
Believe in Panthers. And so, yeah, a fellow Believe host. Subscribe, like, download all the things for all the Believe
yeah,
shows, Believe in
yeah,
Panthers, and Scoop du Jour on the Believe on Believe as well. So
yeah.
this has been such a blast to have you and to get to know you. And we won't hold you to those Super Bowl picks, but we'll check back in with you.
Yeah,
How's that?
49ers. 49ers.
49ers. Okay. That's what we're gonna well that'll be I'm sure Lisa McCaffrey, who's also on the Believe Network, will be happy to hear that too.
Shout out to Lisa McCaffrey, a wonderful woman, raising a lot of wonderful young men. I heard that she's where Christian got her athletic
yeah
gene pool. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely had nothing to do with the McCaffrey side, but
yeah.
I mean, two athletic parents doing something right.
Doing something
That's what I said.
right.
I'm like, I want to know what's in the water.
Yeah.
In that house. And in like all of these athletic households of like all these brothers in the NFL, and want to know what's going on. Because I got blessed with 5 foot nothing.
Well,
so if there's something I could drink or do just to get a little height, a little athleticism, I'll take it for my offspring at least.
Just work really hard.
Okay. That's good. Okay. We'll end with that. Jonathan Stewart, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the time. And we will find you wherever we get our podcast and online. And thank you so much.
All right. Well, had a blast. Thank you.